Harris Faulkner's with us now. I'm wanting to you, Harris. I didn't know they had two events ever. Maybe they do. There was one in Chicago 2 months ago. You were there. I'm going to play a clip in a moment here. Then the event yesterday was in Philadelphia. Both NABJ. Yeah. With an audience. It seemed like yesterday's audience was smaller. I don't know. That's just based on what I was trying to gauge there.
What you saw in Chicago is their annual conference. So any venue that they would have booked by NABJ would have been much larger than, you know, basically a campaign stop. And by the way, NABJ promised, it came out in all of its language, that this was a journalism event and that this was not politics. On all the campaign materials, this was a campaign stop. So that's, you know, what did we get yesterday? We got more of what she says on the campaign. I was watching you guys earlier. You can do the side-by-sides and see how she keeps repeating herself and so on. My big question today is, you had, and look, this is no disrespect to Eugene and Garen and Tanya who were doing the job. You did not have network anchors up there, though, who do TV every day. And it was a different feel about it, or at least do that pressure cooker type of what we do. You know, having somebody not answer our question and then pushing back, you didn't have that up there on that stage.
Okay, but here's what you had in Chicago, okay?
We have a little bit of that? Oh, yeah, it was very different for Trump.
Let's roll the clip. Yep. I think it's Rachel Scott, ABC, who leads off the question here.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
You were there.
I remember that moment so vividly because it was the opposite of what anybody would do. Anybody would show you civility. This was July 31st. July 13th, he had been shot in the first assassination attempt on his life. The journalists couldn't even start there with, we're glad you're okay. This is your first opportunity to talk with this group of people, and we're glad you've come today. You know that we're going to ask tough questions. You know that there might be some in the audience who wish that they were asking the tough questions right now. I think that's how you put it. The part that you didn't show was the very top of that, when we all sat down first. And the comment was from the ABC News reporter there, this audience didn't want you here. Are you aware of that? I'm paraphrasing it a bit. It was actually a little less pleasant than that. But that was first out of the gate. So it was hostile. It felt like an ambush. And look, he took the bait. There's no denying that. It turned into, right off the top, a pretty caustic situation. But what would any of us do if you think you're walking into making history at the NABJ, not by digital, not in a city that you would choose because it's on the campaign trail, Philadelphia, not any of that, but you're going into the largest audience of black journalists all year long. So that was big. So my big question for Kamala Harris is, why didn't you do better yesterday? I mean, it was a love fest. And it wasn't like what it was like for Trump.
Can I play one other part for this? This is call for number 5. This is one of the things she needs to do is try to win back support of some black voters who said they're not going to vote for her this time around. Watch.
What is your message to young black male voters who feel left out of this economy?
So I appreciate the spirit of the question, but I'll tell you, I've often been asked this question in a way that I've had to respond by first saying that I think it's very important to not operate from the assumption that black men are in anybody's pocket. I'm working to earn the vote, not assuming I'm going to have it because I am black.
So not policy specifics, but the tone and tenor of it, understanding that she needs to try to win their vote.
Yeah, her first words were, I appreciate the spirit of the question, first of all. What is she saying there? I mean, it's the National Association of Black Journalists. When I asked Trump the first question I did, I said, look, there are many black communities. We're not all the same. We vote differently. We do things differently. I set it up in such a way that this is your audience. Why did she go there if she hadn't intended to talk specifically to a question that was asked about that audience? That was, look, if she didn't want to be there talking with whomever, that would be one thing. But black men in particular are a soft spot for her. And part of it is the lack of specificity around the idea of economics and how to change life. And, you know, for people who are really suffering right now. Another area that I thought was a tender spot for her, though, was the Palestinian situation. Hamas versus Israel after Hamas invaded and had a massacre on October 7th against the citizens of Israel. And they're fighting back. That's a war that the world would like to see come to an end. I'm sure Israel would too. They have to take out those killers first. So with all of that going on, she was asked, well, what specific policy change as president would you make in helping Israel? That was the question. She said, we need to get this deal done, and we need to get this deal done immediately. And that is my position, and that is my policy. We need to get this deal done. Yeah, they're not any closer to getting the deal done. So unlike Trump, when he's asked the question about how you bring both sides in the Ukraine and Russia war, for instance, together, he would do it as president-elect. It would be a phone call. You watched the debate, you know. Yeah. No specificity on a place where, did you know that Washington State has 100,000 uncommitted voters from the primary? Like, I get it from Minnesota and Michigan, but that's the number that, so she might have wanted to reach out to that. Bottom line is, nobody pressed her. She didn't feel challenged. She sat back, seemed very comfortable, and that was different than how they treated the Republican candidate for the White House.
She needs to answer more questions, and it might help her. It might not.
Well, we thank you for coming on our show, and we'll see you in your show in 34 minutes.
Oh, yay.
Okay, thank you, Harris.
Top of the hour.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.